Welcome. I'm Tracy Smith, and this is Here Comes the Sun, a closer look at some of the people, places, and things we bring you every weekend on Sunday morning. Director Jon M is celebrated for his films rich with captivating characters, pumping music, and vividly colorful visual language. His latest, the highly anticipated adaptation of the hit Broadway musical Wicked, is sure to have audiences tapping their feet. But for all the storytelling challenges he's taken on, it's 2018's Crazy Rich Asians that was the most personal, as he told Jo Ling Kent.
I had pushed away talking about being Asian for so long, because if I did, then all of a sudden I'm the Asian director, and I'd only be seen as that. But it started to feel a little empty of like, well, what is the thing that I most want to say? I had not actually revisited my past, where my family comes from.
The result? Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, damn, Nick. It's a party, though.
A hit at the box office.
Self-made woman. She must be so proud of you.
And with the critics.
Later in the show, Jon M on his parents' career goals for him.
You knew from this early age, this, or something like it, is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But what did your parents want you to be when you were growing up?
I think my parents wanted me to be a brain surgeon, because I think I was trained to say that when I was young. My dad wanted all of us to have one restaurant, so he'd have 5 restaurants all across America. But of course, they encouraged us to do other things.
Then from screen to stage. The world-renowned New York City Ballet marks 75 years since the curtain first went up. Co-founder and first artistic director George Balanchine is credited with popularizing the art form in America and known for his fresh, joyful choreography. Serena Altschul caught up with dancers past and present.
Ballet in America was very young then. He felt that part of his mission was to educate an audience because they didn't know that much about ballet.
Suzanne Farrell was one of Balanchine's muses and masters of his signature fast-paced athletic ballets, focused less on plot and more on music and movement.
That's all coming up right here on Here Comes the Sun. Director Jon M's parents, immigrants from China and Taiwan, immersed their children in American culture, including the iconic Hollywood film, The Wizard of Oz. Now M's living a full-circle moment as his own Yellow Brick Road led him to the helm of Wicked, out later this year. Here's Jo Ling Kent.
Hong Kong style.
For more than 50 years, the kitchen at Chef Chu's in Los Altos, California, has produced one crowd pleaser
And the meat is very tender.
after another,
So pot stickers I love.
including a certain Hollywood director.
Garlic noodles with lobster is like delicious.
Iconic and very nice.
Do something crazy!
Before he'd bring Crazy Rich Asians and In the Heights to the big screen,
Hey, y'all. Good morning.
Jon M was the kid folding napkins in the corner of his dad's Silicon Valley restaurant.
I would lay here and do my homework.
His immigrant parents from China and Taiwan immersed him in American culture.
Somewhere Over the Rainbow, we used to sing that all the time. It's this idea of dreaming of some other place beyond the walls of my bedroom was instilled in us, because that's what my parents thought when they came to America. It's the promise of something more. My mom would call us the Asian Kennedys, and she would dress us the same. So we'd have these like epic family photos.
When Jon said he wanted to get into film and Hollywood, what did you think?
Is that a good expression?
Meet the parents, Mom Ruth and Dad Lawrence, better known as Chef Chu.
He doesn't want to be a director. He wanted to be an actor.
Well, he wanted to do many things.
Yeah, but then he realized he's not tall and not handsome enough.
Could be true.
That's mommy talk. That's how we talk in the family. Very straightforward.
Less straightforward, was the 44-year-old's actual path to the red carpet, as he details in his memoir, Viewfinder. It all began with the June 1992 Sharper Image Catalog.
It was an AV mixer, an audio-video mixer, where you connect VCRs together and your stereo together, and you could make a movie.
Would you like to see a cameraman? Okay. Here I am.
Home movies at first. And later, his own remake of Titanic.
Don't do that, Rose. Don't you go say your goodbyes now, Rose.
Film school came next, and Chu scored meetings with Steven Spielberg and 2 movie deals by 23. But this is Hollywood, so when the deals fell through, he was jobless. His mom once again got straight to the point.
I got a script for a sequel to a dance movie, and I told my agents, oh, I don't do direct-to-DVD. I got discovered by Spielberg, so I told my mom that story, and she's like, when did you become a snob? I was like, what? What? She's like, if you're a storyteller can tell a story in any medium.
The interesting thing, though, is Steven Spielberg was telling you, be careful what your first movie is. And you've got Mom, who's not exactly a movie industry veteran.
Yep.
And you chose Mom.
I chose Mom. Come on.
I don't think there's another choice.
Are you aware that you could be the next train wreck?
What followed was a decade of documentaries, dance projects, and action sequels.
Drive it like you stole it.
The critics weren't always fans, but you couldn't argue with the box office.
But you're not satisfied. Why?
I had pushed away talking about being Asian for so long, because if I did, then all of a sudden I'm the Asian director, and I'd only be seen as that. But it started to feel a little empty of like, well, what is the thing that I most want to say? I had not actually revisited my past, where my family comes from.
The result? Crazy Rich Asians.
Oh, damn, Nick. It's a party, though.
A hit at the box office.
Self-made woman. She must be so proud of you.
And with the critics.
Well, she knows that I'm passionate about what I do, and she's always wanted that for me.
Pursuing one's passion. How American.
Based on the best-selling novel, it was the first American film with a mostly Asian cast in 25 years. For inspiration, Chu knew where to go.
I knew the things that I wanted to draw from here. I wanted Eleanor to be in an environment like this, because to me, this is them like playing jazz with making food. I wanted that power to be shown as Eleanor walked around the island.
If I won the lotto tomorrow, well, I know I wouldn't bother going on no spending spree.
Translating struggle and ambition to the silver screen with sumptuous visuals and elaborate numbers seemed to be Chu's calling.
You're green.
He's now landed in Oz.
I am.
Directing the film adaptation of the Broadway mega hit Wicked.
There's nothing that can stop you from becoming popular.
When you look up, then you look at each other for one short.
Starring Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo.
Wicked has this line, it's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes, and leap.
It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes and leap.
When I heard that, it sounded a bit like you.
It was the whole reason I did the movie. It's all about striving for that dream and being able to fight through the uncomfortable things to get there.
The son of immigrants with big dreams is a familiar story, but Jon Chu knows the path to a Hollywood ending is not always what it seems.
Just follow the yellow brick road.
So now, how has your view of the Wizard of Oz changed since you were a kid?
I think that yellow brick road is no longer the path that you just keep following, because there is no wizard there that's going to give you your heart's desire. Life is a series of walking adventures, and as you're walking, smell the flowers and feel the air, and maybe you'll realize you're actually flying.
After the break, an exclusive excerpt from Jo Ling Kent's chat with Jon Chu, something you can only see right here on Here Comes the Sun. Stay with us.
And from then on, they were completely supportive in anything I wanted to do with it.
As promised, here's more with Jon Chu and Jo Ling Kent.
One thing that jumped out from the book is your mother would often say, "Never complain." What do you think she meant by that?
I think she meant that you had to be you. And if other people tried to stop that, to veer you from your course, that you ignored it and you just kept going. I think there are so many things, even downstairs, where customers, it's a restaurant, customers complain about certain things or hear that. And if they let that get to them every time, then it wouldn't allow the progress of the restaurant to continue to be a home and to get better. So also the amount of energy it would take to defend yourself or to feel that angst, I think was, in a weird way, a survival mechanism for them coming here. And they instilled that in us, that no matter what the world's gonna look at you as a Chinese person, and they're gonna make their judgments on you, and they're gonna treat you in a certain way. But if you just act like the way that you should be treated, then the world would conform to how you are. They always saw that as our family, as ambassadors for this whole, for Chinese culture. It felt like if you treat people kindly, if you work hard, if you do it better than everybody else, there's nothing they could say. There's literally nothing they could say to stop you. And so that was always, you had to work harder than everybody else to get there.
Be so good you can't be ignored.
Be so good you can't be ignored.
You knew from this early age, this, or something like it, is what I want to do.
Yeah.
But what did your parents want you to be when you were growing up?
I think my parents wanted me to be a brain surgeon because I think I was trained to say that when I was young. My dad wanted all of us to have one restaurant, so he'd have 5 restaurants all across America. But of course, they encouraged us to do other things. So
Yeah.
it was different for a Chinese family to allow me to go shoot weddings and bar mitzvahs and class videos. Part of that, I was saying, I'm starting a company. So it was sort of in the Silicon Valley spirit of like, I have a logo and a thing, and I'm a startup, Dad, and look. But they didn't think it was really that serious. It was one night when I had convinced my teachers to do a video instead of write a paper. I'd been doing this regularly, so I was up very, very late at night, and my mom came in, and she's like, "What are you doing up?" I'm like, "I have to finish this video, it's due tomorrow." And she came in, she unplugged the computer, which back then, when you unplug your computer, you lose everything.
It's gone.
I don't think she understood that, but my heart would drop, like so much work. And she went to bed, and then usually I just go to sleep, never complain. But I couldn't go to sleep, and I went back to her, and I hadn't cried in so many years, but I was bawling to her. I was like, this is not a hobby, this is what I love, and you told me to do what I love, so you can fight me or support me, but I'm doing this. And she sort of didn't say anything, so I went back to bed. I was like, oh gosh, I'm screwed tomorrow. And she came to pick me up at school the next day, and she brought a pile of filmmaking books. And she says, if you're gonna do this, you have to study it like a real subject. And from then on, they were completely supportive in anything I wanted to do with it.
Your parents came here looking for a better life. They found it. Do you think, is America still an attractive place for Asians to come and build that better life?
I 100% believe in the promise of America. I know it exists because I've lived it. I think it's a messy promise. I think it isn't everything that we think it is. But the fact is, like, how could I not believe it if I didn't come from this restaurant and have dreams of a sharper image editor and go to Hollywood with 0 connections and find my way to become a filmmaker with the big studios. Half the reason I wrote this book was to put a marker in the ground to say, it does exist. It is not it is difficult, There's a lot of structures there in front of us, but we can get through it. And I really believe that the next great leaders of America are the people who are great storytellers.
Up next, dancing for decades. Welcome back. New York City Ballet has been entertaining audiences for 75 years, a feat as impressive as the artistry their 90 company members perform on stage. Serena Altschul explores what sets the company apart and how the nonprofit is planning for the next 3/4 of a century.
Turning 75 is a milestone, especially for a ballet company. At 3/4 of a century, New York City Ballet is not just considered one of the best dance companies in the world, but the foundation of ballet in America.
For all of us that are here, I think we all really would agree this is the top of the top.
Megan Fairchild is one of the principal ballerinas in the company, made up of 90 dancers and an unparalleled repertoire of more than 500 ballets.
What's different about the way dancers dance here versus the rest of the world?
We like to, play with the musicality as we dance. There's just nothing square about it. It's playful and it's alive and spontaneous.
That excitement has been part of the company's ethos since the curtain first went up in 1948. New York City Ballet was founded by art connoisseur Lincoln Kirstein and choreographer George Balanchine, who wanted to modernize the 15th century art form.
Ballet in America was very young then. He felt that part of his mission was to educate an audience because they didn't know that much about ballet.
Suzanne Farrell was one of Balanchine's muses and masters of his signature fast-paced athletic ballets, focused less on plot and more on music and movement.
How did audiences respond?
It depended on the audience, but usually they were shocked in a good way.
Those ballets are now performed internationally by nearly every ballet company and largely considered the barometer for a dancer or company's strength.
You cannot see a Balanchine ballet and go out and not have a major change. It might not be anything you can identify, but you are better for having seen that ballet.
After George Balanchine's death in 1983, dancer Peter Martins ran the company for more than 3 decades, before stepping down amid misconduct allegations, which he denied.
That's perfect timing for your hand. Yeah.
Wendy Whalen and Jonathan Stafford
So it's like fall and then
have run the company together since 2019.
How hard is it to survive as a dance company out there in the world?
It's really hard. As a nonprofit performing arts organization, you feel like you start at zero every single year. You have to bring that audience back. You have to sell the tickets. You have to raise the money.
Build the excitement every year.
We know we have to constantly keep pushing, working to enhance the company.
That involves training the next generation at its affiliated school, the School of American Ballet in New York.
Sometimes it's this, but it can also be a good face grab.
It also means continuing the company's tradition of new works by contemporary choreographers, with noteworthy collaborations with artists ranging from Sir Paul McCartney to Solange Knowles to Valentino.
Tell me a little bit about attendance these days.
Young people.
Yeah.
Young people.
Yeah, a lot of young people.
For the first time since we've been tracking it, our largest single ticket demographic is age 30 to 39, which is huge.
Try to make it fun too. Always a fresh recipe, and it's unexpected, and we just want to keep that evolving.
It's that evolution, they say, that will keep the art form front and center. And New York City Ballet, worthy of an encore.
I'm Tracy Smith. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you here next time on Here Comes the Sun.